The movie today begins a long time ago, when the Roman Empire was at the top of the world. Despite all its power and wealth, it was plagued by a disease called human slavery. Most people back then, my friend, lived and died as slaves, until a boy was born to a father and grandfather who were slaves named Spartacus. He was sold to work in the mines before he turned 13, and he remained there until he became a young, strong man with a unique physical build, just as we see here. Spartacus, unlike the other slaves, loves to help people. When he sees a slave collapse from exhaustion, he drops the rocks he is carrying and goes to help him. But the guards, of course, approach to beat him because he dropped the rocks he was transporting. When he tries to defend himself and bites a guard's leg, they beat him mercilessly and take him away in chains to teach him a lesson. At the same time, a slave trader named Lentulus arrives in the city. He is looking to buy some slaves to train as gladiators to fight for him. The guard takes him to a slave, but when Lentulus sees his teeth, he feels the guy is weak and refuses to buy him. However, our hero Spartacus catches his eye, tied with chains to the rocks as punishment. As soon as he finds out that Spartacus bit one of the guards, he realizes he is fierce and decides to buy him immediately along with a group of other slaves. Finally, they arrive at the merchant's place, called the home, and all the new slaves discover that they are there to be trained to fight to the death. It is not that they are asked to fight to the death right there, but the time will come when they will fight in pairs in front of rich people until one dies, just to entertain them. The merchant assures them that they will be cleaned up and given the best food, and he will even provide them with women. But in exchange, he wants blind obedience and that they fight as savagely as they are asked. He introduces them to his head of guards, Marcellus, who will be in charge of them. The next day, after being shaved and literally scrubbed, our hero Spartacus did not even recognize himself after his hair was gone and he was all groomed. He looked like a totally different man, but Marcellus doesn't like the look of our hero. He forces him to take a sword from a guard and keeps hitting him with a wooden stick, demanding that he defend himself. Even though he pressures him several times, our hero remains standing and refuses to raise his sword in front of him. The head of the guards tells him, "You seem ready, and you are going to be a headache, I know." Anyway, when Spartacus goes down with the rest of the slaves, they tell him that every time Marcellus is free, he chooses someone to fight just to set an example, and that he did well to refuse to attack. Otherwise, he would be dead. When he tries to meet a huge guy who is with them named Draba, the guy refuses and tells him, "We might have to fight each other someday, and then I will have to kill you." After that, the traitor brings a group of women to distribute among the gladiators. A beautiful girl named Varinia falls to our hero's lot. Our hero refuses to touch her and lets everyone know that he is not an animal, so the traitor decides to take her away since he is not getting any use out of her. Anyway, the next day, they start training in all kinds of combat to be ready to put on a good show for the rich and die with honor. Our hero's superiority is noticeable in most of the drills due to his unique physical build. Once, Marcellus has him standing there explaining the weak points he is supposed to hit, but finds him totally distracted looking toward Varinia. Marcellus gets annoyed, of course, and keeps insulting him. Also, when they distribute the women like every day, he refuses to let Varinia go in with Spartacus and leaves him alone in the cell. But it is clear that our hero is hooked and has, in fact, fallen in love with Varinia, especially because every time he sees her, he can't stop looking at her with love and interest. After a period of training, news reaches the slave trader that the Roman general Crassus and some of his followers are outside the house. He gets nervous and starts preparing everything immediately, because this is a Roman general, basically a walking pile of money. The trader goes out to receive him personally, along with his entourage, and brings with him a member of the Senate, a friend named Glabrus. The trader then understands that they want to see pairs fighting to the death. He tries to tell them that they don't fight to the death here, and that they can only offer an exhibition, nothing more. But as soon as he hears that Crassus will pay 25,000 coins, he says, "Sir, you choose who dies, and I am all yours." He takes the two women to Crassus so they can choose the gladiators themselves. They choose a few guys, including Draba the African, but most importantly, they also choose Spartacus. The traitor takes them to sit in the arena to see the battles they chose, but Crassus then sees Varinia and is dazzled by her beauty to the point of deciding to buy her. The traitor tries to explain to him that she cost him a lot, so Crassus tells him, 20,000 coins, and she will come to serve our house in Rome. Of course, the traitor is impressed by the amount and says, "Consider her already in your house, big guy." Then the time comes for the first and second combat. Our hero faces Draba. They sit in the hut watching the fierce fight that is happening, and two gladiators are killed with fresh brutality until one manages to kill the other. Now, it is time for the violent fight between our hero and Draba. Draba uses a spear and a net in the African style, unlike our hero who holds a small shield and a sword. This makes the fight somewhat uneven because Draba's net is dangerous. If he catches him in it, it's game over. That is why Spartacus focuses all his energy on not falling into the net no matter what. Even when Draba throws the net at him, he gets out of it very quickly. It seems that Draba is fierce, and it seems he is going to end the fight in his favor. Although our hero fights with him and manages to land a few blows, Draba knocks him to the ground and was about to kill him. But our hero gets up quickly and tries to defend himself as much as he can. However, Draba is totally wild and difficult to control, to the point that he snatches the sword from our hero's hand and throws it away. In a shocking moment, he throws the spear toward Crassus and his entourage and then tries to climb up to kill them. But Marcellus immediately throws a spear into his back, and Crassus uses his own hand to slit his throat and finish him off forever, while Spartacus and everyone else watch in shock. When night falls, they are even more shocked to see that they hung Draba's body in a terrifying way to serve as a warning to any other slave who thought about rebelling. Our hero and the slaves keep thinking about what happened today and how their lives are worth nothing to the masters. This makes them wake up the next day with a completely different determination. Our hero then notices that they are preparing Varinia to be sent to Rome. When Marcellus sees him looking at her, he hits him with a whip in the face. Spartacus gets so angry that he grabs Marcellus by the neck to strangle him. When the rest of the guards try to intervene, the slaves grab them, beat them, and execute them by force. From here, my friend, the slave revolt begins because literally everyone joins Spartacus. They start killing the guards one by one. Our hero keeps drowning Marcellus in hot water until he dies completely. As soon as the slave trader finds out about the trouble, he asks all the guards to intervene and stop this farce. But he is worried. That is why he decides to take Varinia to Rome himself until things calm down a bit. Although the guards have weapons, the number of slaves was huge, which makes their rebellion have an impressive success. They literally start destroying everything around them, and the guards can do nothing to them. Any guard who tries to block their path finds inevitable death, nothing more. Our hero and the slaves keep chasing them and taking all the resources they have. Anyway, later, my friend, in the city of Rome, news of the slave revolt reaches the Roman Senate. They are very upset because the slaves have started entering neighboring villages, freeing the slaves there and even forcing them to join them. They are robbing and burning everything in their path, and no one can control them. That is why they have to find a solution to this problem because their number is growing day by day. Then, the cunning old man of the council, Gracchus, gets up to speak. At first, he mocks the slave revolt and makes everyone laugh. He tells them that the commander Glabrus will take part of his entourage and will go to annihilate these slaves forever. When a member objects because this will leave them without protection, the old man assures him that he will only take 6 cohorts, not all of them. Of course, Glabrus accepts the mission with open arms and assures everyone that he will put an end to this. But the old man says, "I suggest we appoint Caesar as commander in his place until he returns." Glabrus accepts because he does not know the old man's true intentions, especially after the old man goes to talk to Caesar. He tells him that his goal was to separate Glabrus from Crassus for a while, to tighten his control over the Senate because Crassus is trying by all means to control the Roman Empire, and the old man stands in his way like a thorn in his throat. But when Crassus returns to the city and Glabrus tells him what happened, he gets angry. He says, "I appointed you commander of the garrison, and you were going to fight against a mob outside the city." He explains the old man's plot to control Rome, especially after he turned Caesar into his ally, so that he would take command in Glabrus's absence. When Glabrus understands the situation, he tries to back down and not lead the army. But Crassus tells him that it is too late since he already accepted. Anyway, the next day, we see Spartacus and the rest of the slaves in a new attack on one of the villages. Our hero then returns to the place of the home they were in and keeps looking at everything around him. When he returns to the slaves, he finds them holding 2 nobles and forcing them to fight each other to the death, just as they used to do with them. Our hero opposes and demands their release. He stands in front of the slaves and says, "I promised myself that if I survived, I would not see 2 people kill each other again." This is the same promise that Draba made to himself. That is why we cannot transform and become like the Romans we have hated all our lives. The main goal now is to build an army of strong gladiators. Spartacus believes that they can defeat any force as long as they are together. They will keep moving toward villages and cities, freeing slaves and offering them a place in their gladiator army. The only way to completely get out of this country and obtain their freedom is by sea. When they tell him that they don't have ships to take them out so easily, our hero explains to them that the Cilician pirates have enough ships and that they are currently at war with Rome, which means that the enemy of my enemy is my ally. If they manage to collect enough coins from the cities and towns they enter, they will dazzle the pirates' eyes so that they provide them with ships that take them completely out of the Roman Empire. The slaves accept Spartacus's proposal and start cheering and having a good time. After that, they all move on horseback day after day, and every slave who sees them agrees to join them. Luckily, our hero sees Varinia among the slaves. She hadn't arrived in Rome. He is filled with joy to be reunited with the girl he loved and goes down to receive her immediately. Varinia then tells him that she jumped from the wagon while it was moving and managed to escape. From here, they decide to get married and stay together forever. As for the slave trader, he arrives before the old man of the council who welcomes him and treats him well, because they had many slave trade businesses between them. Besides that, the cunning old man likes to make contacts. Maybe a day will come when he needs a favor or something like that. The merchant tells him about the disaster that happened at his house, and that it is all because Crassus decided to stop by and enjoy watching the slaves kill each other. He also tells him about Varinia, whom Crassus supposedly bought but has not yet paid for, and who also escaped. The old man offers him a huge sum in exchange for bringing him Varinia if he finds her. As for Crassus, we see him with his servant, who is a poet. Crassus keeps boasting about the power of Rome before him and assures him that the slave revolt will fail because Rome is the strongest empire on earth and no one can stand in its way. At that moment, we see our hero and the slave army installed in a place for a while. They have started preparing tools to defend themselves and training the new slaves to fight so that they are ready for anything. Spartacus stands before a new batch of slaves and tells them that they are arming themselves and collecting coins for now until they are ready to leave the country by sea. Whoever wants to be with them is welcome, and whoever does not can leave normally. Although most of this new batch are women, Spartacus assures them that slave women are 100 times better than Roman soldiers. This earns him more popularity and trust from everyone. We notice that among the slaves is Crassus's poet after he escaped from him. When Spartacus finds out that he sings and recites poetry, he tells him, "That's great. You can entertain us a little." Day after day, the slave colony grows and develops more and more. The poet stays there doing magic and tricks to cheer them up a bit, to the point that he makes birds be born from eggs. But to our hero's bad luck, his egg is real and breaks in his face. Everyone laughs at him, and he laughs too. The atmosphere is totally joyful. Later, our hero walks with Varinia and shares his vision and dream of a world without slaves, a world where everyone is free and lives with dignity. Although he knows how difficult such a thing is, he believes that that day will come, whether through him and the army that accompanies him, or even by people after them who seek the same goal, freedom, and nothing but freedom. Anyway, the next day, one of the Cilician pirates arrives, because Spartacus requested it. As soon as he sees the slaves loading the wagon, he decides to free them immediately, because there are no slaves here. He assures the pirate that he will pay for them. Don't worry. The pirate sits with our hero to negotiate and know his demands. When our hero hears that the pirates have about 500 ships, he tells him, "We want them all." Of course, the pirate is shocked and says, "But that will cost you about 50 million coins. Can you imagine?" Our hero gets up and shows him a chest full of treasures and gold. He tells him that this will be a down payment to close the deal and that they will receive the rest of the 50 million when they are ready with the ships. The pirate points out the location of the port on the map. Our hero assures him that they will arrive there in 7 months. The pirate accepts, especially after seeing the impressive treasure chest that he will take when he leaves. But despite that, the pirate has some reservations. He tells our hero, "You understand that you are going to lose this war, right? Especially because 6 cohorts are approaching your position while we speak." But our hero is aware of Glabrus's cohorts and tells the pirate that death for the slaves means freedom because their lives in slavery would be much worse. That is why they have nothing to lose, and they will fight and strive until their last breath. At nightfall, our hero discovers that the Roman camp is installed near them, but he is surprised that they have not built a moat or even put barbed wire around the camp. This is because they despise the slave army and think that the whole thing is easy. Our hero decides to exploit this point against them. He mobilizes his men completely to catch them off guard with a stinging attack. In fact, they go in and set fire to the Roman tents suddenly, and they don't even have time to take their positions. This gives our hero and the slave army the chance to win with minimal effort after burning the entire camp. They even go in and kidnap Glabrus from inside his tent with great ease. After that, Spartacus stays there to identify Glabrus. He remembers him immediately because he was with Crassus at the entertainment show they came to ask for at the house. He asks him to return to Rome and let them know that the slave army does not want to fight against them. They only want to make their way to the sea to leave them the whole country and leave. In fact, Glabrus returns ashamed to the Senate and tells what happened. He delivers the message of the leader of the slaves, Spartacus. Whoever thinks of blocking their path, their destiny will be inevitable death, nothing more. Although the name sounded familiar to Crassus, he did not remember his face. In general, everyone in the council is shocked when they find out that the 6 cohorts were completely annihilated. Crassus asks if he built a moat or put barbed wire around the camp. Glabrus lowers his head to the ground and denies it because he saw them as simple slaves and did not think it was worth it. His underestimation of the enemy made him lose the battle before it started. Of course, the old man fishes in troubled waters. He gets up in front of everyone and says that we will leave the punishment to Crassus, since he was the one who recommended Glabrus for the command in the first place. But Crassus does not give him the chance to insult him. He gets up and announces the exile of Glabrus out of the city in accordance with Roman law. He also decides to retire from his post on the council because Glabrus is his friend and they will share the shame until the end. But while he is leaving, the old man keeps mocking what he is doing because this behavior will not last long and he will definitely return to the council soon. Anyway, after that, we see the slave army walking for days and months toward the sea. Their number increases over time to the point of being thousands. Men, women, children, all of them. They walk in very harsh conditions, but their main goal makes them endure anything. At that moment, the council was at its boiling point. Half say to let the slave army leave the country and that's it, and the other half saw it as an insult to the entire empire because the slaves who challenged them would escape punishment very easily. Anyway, later our hero and his soldiers arrive at a city near Rome. It is not long before they reach the sea, and the dream of freedom is getting closer. As the old man of the council understands it very well, he goes to talk to Crassus in the public baths. He asks him to lead the army to stop Spartacus and the slave army. Crassus accepts, but exploits the situation very well. He asks to be the supreme dictator of Rome and that his decisions not go through the Roman Senate. Although the old man understands well that this will give him absolute power, he is forced to accept, because the situation is chaotic and Crassus has to help them. As for our heroes, they finally reach the shore. They spot the ships in the distance, so they decide to camp here today, and tomorrow they will finally obtain their freedom. But at night, the pirate arrives with bad news. He tells our hero that Pompey, the Roman commander, has arrived in Italy, and in 3 days he will reach their position. The bigger problem is that the Roman naval fleet will arrive tomorrow by sea. That is why the pirates got scared and decided to withdraw all the ships and cancel the agreement. Spartacus is shocked, because it was his only chance for freedom. He understands that Crassus paid a lot of money to the pirates in exchange for them withdrawing and avoiding war with him. Our hero stands in front of the map and realizes that he can no longer move forward or backward. To avoid being destroyed between the two armies, the only solution is to attack Rome himself. The pirate offers to provide him with a private ship just for him and his loved ones to escape. But of course, our hero refuses that offer, because he cannot leave his slave army that trusted him and run away. Anyway, the next day, Crassus stands before the soldiers and lets them know that he has become the supreme dictator of the entire empire. On the other hand, Spartacus tells the slave army what has happened and that they have no choice but to attack Rome and see what happens. Because if they move in the other direction or even stay in place, 2 armies by land and sea will crush them. But their chance of survival is a little higher if they attack Rome. As for General Crassus, this time he takes our hero very seriously. He calls for the slave trader to describe his appearance. The merchant tries to remind him that he already fought before him previously with the slave Draba, but Crassus does not remember his face at all. He offers the merchant a lot of money to stay with him in the camp and identify Spartacus tomorrow. As for our hero, He is sitting with his pregnant wife who is about to give birth. He asks her to tell everything to their son if something happens to him in tomorrow's battle. In fact, the next day, we reach the final battle, the slave army against the Roman army, the strongest army in the world. The slaves at that moment are shocked that Crassus literally brought the whole army to this confrontation. Despite this, they attack them with total savagery and try to defeat them as much as they can. But the problem is that Crassus performs a pincer movement on them and attacks them from all directions. It is a fierce and crushing battle. Despite the bravery of our hero and those who accompany him, the end is tragic. The Roman army wins, and Crassus stands over a literal army of corpses. He tells the rest of the slaves who were captured that they will be slaves again. Spartacus and the poet are among them, but Crassus is bothered that he has not identified our hero yet. He is surprised to see that Varinia gave birth during the battle. When he understands that she is the wife of Spartacus, he decides to take her to his palace. The slave trader wants to benefit from her and take her money. So Crassus gets annoyed and orders his soldiers to whip him and throw him out of here. Then he decides to crucify the rest of the slaves along the road from here to Rome. He asks to leave the poet for the end along with Spartacus, although he still does not know that this is the leader of the slaves. As for the slave trader, he goes to complain to the old man of the council about what has happened to him. When the old man hears the story of Varinia and her son, whom Crassus took, he fishes in troubled waters. He asks the merchant to bring him the girl and her child in exchange for 1,000,000 coins. When night falls, Crassus tries to approach Varinia to feel the victory over Spartacus, his unknown enemy, but she refuses and assures him that she will never be his. So he goes down to bother the poet and Spartacus for a while. When he notices the face and features of our hero, he finally understands that this is the leader of the slaves, but our hero refuses to even answer him. The Roman general gets annoyed and slaps him, but our hero surprises him and spits in his face. Crassus is shocked and decides to put him in a fight to the death with the poet. The one who wins will be crucified like the others, and that is literally the worst way to die. That is why the poet tries to kill Spartacus so that they crucify him in his place. Our hero keeps stopping his blows as much as he can until he understands what he is trying to do, that he wants to spare him the crucifixion that lasts for days until a brutal death. But our hero, with a great sacrifice, decides that it is he who must kill the poet out of mercy and be crucified in his place. The next day, the merchant has managed to bring Varinia and her child before the old man. The old man gives him 2,000,000 coins in exchange for him leaving the country with the girl completely. He gives him a document confirming that she has been freed and that she is no longer a slave, she and her child. While they are leaving the city in a wagon, Varinia is shocked to see her hero husband hanging on the cross in a pathetic state, but he is happy to find out that they have obtained their freedom. She assures him that she will tell everything to her son and who his father was. In the end, Varinia hopes that her husband dies soon to escape the torment he is suffering now. In fact, as soon as she leaves, Spartacus dies and the slave revolt ends. And that is where the movie ends. I hope you liked the summary.